So it's like a basic drop D. So just the most simple slide riff you could possibly play. Hey, this is Beck, and I'm here with Mix with the Masters in Paris, and we're going to talk about my song Loser, and we're going to go into the backstory and a little bit into the music and how it was made. Bit of a backstory to this song. It starts in about 1991. I was playing at a coffee shop club called Jabberjaw, which was one of the main spots to play in Los Angeles at the time. And it was the kind of place where you'd see Nirvana or you'd see the Melvins. Everybody who came through town played at Jabberjaw. I was mostly playing acoustic guitar solo without a band. And the audience pretty much cleared out and would go outside and smoke. And so out of desperation, I started stomping my foot for a beat, freestyling, like a rap song. It got like a few, little small applause. And this tall, skinny guy with long hair and a goatee comes up and he says, "Hey, I like your rapping." And I don't think I'd ever done that before. So I said, "Thank you, yeah, I'm a rapper." And he said that he knew this kid who made beats. I said, "What kind of stuff does he do?" He said he works with this band called the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah, Citywood's in the house. Southpark's in the house. Fifth Ward's in the house.
This lit me up. Like, nobody knew anybody who made beats. There were like few people on the planet who knew how to do this. I was like, I have to work with this guy. He's working with the Ghetto Boys. And his name's Carl Stevenson. And I had this idea in my head for years. What would it sound like with a Delta Blues slide guitar over a hip hop rhythm? So here I was at this guy's apartment. He starts making some beats. And I pull out my guitar with my slide and I start jamming to it. And it sounds pretty good.
Yo, bring it on down.
So I was just trying different riffs. And some of them were pretty fancy. But I settled in this one that was so simple. So it's like a basic drop D. So just, it's the most simple slide riff you could possibly play. I don't think we had a bass, so he got a bass sound on the ASR-10. This was what he played. By the way, we had never met before. We were making this, we had just met. And I remember the part he came up with, I thought was so happy, and I was trying to make the song kind of be heavy. But I remember I held my tongue, and I think it's great because it adds a buoyancy and it's a nice juxtaposition with the slide guitar. So the only other instrument that Carl had, I saw immediately when I walked into his place. He had a sitar. And I've been fascinated by Indian music. Obviously I grew up with Beatles records, had all the psychedelia. I had never seen one in person. What I realized about Carl very quickly is he was kind of a spiritual guy. He did a lot of meditating, a lot of that kind of thing. And he was working with the Ghetto Boys, which was a really interesting combination. So he started to play it, and he basically plays the same melody as the bass line. So I immediately started writing lyrics. As I was writing it, I was thinking of Chuck D from Public Enemy. He was taking a lot of disparate imagery and using it to create a bigger emotion, a bigger picture. I wanted the lyrics to have that feeling where it's just this stream of images that create a world.
In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Butane in my veins and a mouth to cut the chunky with the plastic eyeballs. Spray paint the vegetables, dog food skulls with the beefcake pantyhose.
When I heard that back, it did not sound like Chuck D. It was pretty nerdy. So I'd had this band at the time with some friends called Loser, and I played guitar and my friend sang. And we had a logo for the band and everything. I thought it would be funny to make this kind of like the theme song. I called up a friend, I was like, how does exactly you say I'm a loser in Spanish? And there wasn't a phrase for it. There's no phrase for I'm a loser in Spanish, as far as we could figure out. So it was just a literal, I am lost. So we embedded it on.
Soy un perdedor. I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? I can't believe it. Soy un perdedor. I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me?
That was like the first real song I've ever recorded. Everything else had been very lo-fi, cassette tapes kind of thing. And then I didn't hear anything for a long time. I forgot about it, never saw Carl again. It must have been 9 months or a year or something go by. Tom said, hey, that song we did with Carl, that Loser song is kind of cool. I think we should do something with that. And I said, yeah, okay. I had kind of thought in my head I blew it. And I went back to my shitty job, which I think I was working in a video rental place. They brought me into a couple of these meetings and they flew me out with some people who are pretty famous in the music business now. And I sat in these rooms and they looked at me. I was probably like 21 or 22. They said, this is interesting. It's got potential, but I don't think it'll work. We'd have to redo it. We have to make it more production. You probably have to get a haircut, whatever they said. And I just couldn't be bothered. I was waiting to see something real, something authentic, something that felt like me and my friends. And so I would have rather, it's fine if you don't want what I'm doing. I don't want to change it, So the song ended up languishing for several years because of that. It sat for another year, and finally, 2 years later, we decided we're gonna put out ourselves. Tom Rothrock had started a label called Bongload, and they were gonna print 500 copies on vinyl. My friends heard it and said, well, I heard that song. I remember at the time I was a little embarrassed because I felt like this idea of loser was sort of played out. Right at the same time, Radiohead came out with a song called Creep. There was a Sub Pop Records t-shirt that said loser on it. To me, it felt like its moment had already passed. It was going to be considered kind of corny at that point. But I think actually, in fact, the song sitting around for a few years before being released, it came out at the exact perfect time. And I hope it inspires some people to go out and make some weird things. You don't need to wait for permission. You can just go ahead and do it.
You know what I'm saying?